There are several optional fields for the new characteristic, but the three that are most frequently used are real-time failure groups, specification limits, and fixed control limits. To be alerted when this characteristic is out of control, out of spec, etc., select real-time failure groups. Each real-time failure group is a collection of real-time checks. After creating a real-time failure group, you can apply it to any characteristic, not just the one you are creating now. On the navigation menu, expand the Setup section to add real-time failure groups. Your list of real-time failure groups is probably empty like mine is, so I'll show you how to create a new real-time failure group. Select the Add button to create a new real-time failure group. Enter a name for this real-time failure group. For this example, I'm going to create a real-time failure group for data that falls outside the control limits. I'll name it Above and Below Control Limits. Now select which real-time failures to include in this group. I'm going to start with X bar above UCL to flag data that is outside the upper control limit. For data outside the lower control limit, I'll add X bar below LCL. I should also check for ranges outside control limits, so let me find range above upper control limit and range below control limit, and we'll add those two. After you have added all the real-time checks you want in the group, click the Save button to save your new real-time failure group. Entering specification limits lets you check for real-time specification failures, calculate statistics like CPK, and more. Begin by selecting the characteristic for the part. You can select the characteristic from the navigation menu or from the home view. Click the Edit button for the characteristic. Scroll to the Real-Time Failure Groups section. Use the drop-down to select the real-time failure group or groups. If the real-time failure group is not listed, click the Add button to create the real-time failure group. As you set up more real-time failure groups, you will be able to click this list and choose as many groups as you need for a characteristic. You can enter these limits, upper spec and lower spec, in the X limits section. If you have a unilateral or one-sided specification, just enter the limit you have and leave the other limit blank. If you have already established control limits for this characteristic, GS can use them for real-time failure checks, charts, and more. You can enter the X bar, or X, fixed control limits in the X limits section. You can enter the range, or moving range, fixed control limits in the range limits section. Now that you have set all the required fields and any of these optional fields, you can select the Save button at the top or bottom of the page to save your new characteristic. Up next, How to enter measurement data for this characteristic.